All right, perfect. Then we'll go ahead and get this recording started. Nice to be able to talk with you guys all today. So I'm Natalie Brake with Early Learning Indiana, and because the school site that she was going to be visiting canceled, I also have Maria Need from Early Learning Indiana who's joining me, and we're going to talk with you guys a little bit about who Early Learning Indiana is, and then also a few upcoming opportunities that may be of interest to you as you think about your early learning program. To help us out a little bit, if you could throw into the chat just, the name of your program, if maybe something might be useful for us to know about it, like what ages you serve, and then if you have already are familiar with Early Learning Indiana or have done something with us. So if anybody wants to throw that in there while I get my stuff ready to share, now that I stopped hiding my buttons.
I'm Christy. I'm with St. Paul's Lutheran here in Fort Wayne, and I'm the director, and I also teach the 4 and 5 year old program. But we start as early as 3 years old.
Wow.
And I don't know anything about the Early Learning Indiana program, so I'm super excited to get all the information. I'm taking notes and I'm ready to go.
Hey. See a couple more people throwing it in. So ages 3 to 5, some little ones in that. Excellent. Okay. Well, I'll let people keep throwing it in, and then Maria Need, if I miss something in the chat that's important, please let me know. Because otherwise, I will keep kind of pushing through. All right. I will say I do have a slide deck. It should be sharing. So I just want to make sure, is that showing right for everybody?
Yes, it is.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to go through here, but this is definitely conversational. So please feel free to interrupt me at any time, ask specific questions, because really going to be sharing about opportunities that may be beneficial for your teams and for the children you serve. And so if you're thinking of something as we go along, I'd rather you ask and us be able to consider that. As I said, I'm Natalie Brake, part of the Early Learning Indiana team. Myself and Maria Need, we are part of our external engagement team, so we work with a lot of our partnerships across the state. We work with individual programs who are serving young children. We also work with community partners, coalitions, stakeholders who are invested in local collective action to the benefit of young learners. So that means on an average day, we are working with people from school districts and religious organizations and elected officials and anybody and everybody that you might consider has any sort of invested interest in ensuring foundational learning for young children. I'm going to go through our deck here just a little bit, introducing who we are as an organization, and then get into the specifics of the opportunities at hand. So at Early Learning Indiana, we are a nonprofit ourselves. We are on a mission to ensure that every child is empowered with the essential knowledge and skills to thrive in kindergarten and beyond. And we do this in a lot of different ways through work with many partners all across the state of Indiana. Some of the important ways that I would say that we do this are by working directly with early learning providers across the state. So that includes programs like yours, where you have children coming to learn every day in and day out. We're working with those program leaders. We're working with their communities in support of those leaders, and we're working directly with some of those educators. So we really hit on work at all levels, from systematic work down through individual educators in their own career trajectory of how they are improving their skills. One of the things that I think is really, really important within the work that we're doing is a lot of times out in the public, we're talking about work that's happening in conjunction with partners. We're talking about work that they're doing in their own early learning programs, or work that they're doing within their community that brings together different stakeholders who are creating new opportunities for early assessment or creating new opportunities for early literacy. What some people may not know about us that we have to make sure is part of the story and that we're communicating, because it is a really crucial element, is the fact that we are also educators. So, as a nonprofit organization, we have our statewide work with all of our partners. We also operate our own 11 high quality schools. So, we are serving around 1,000 children every single day in that birth to about 5 pre-K age range. And we are working with educators on their own careers as they build them within our schools. We are working on ensuring that all of those children that we are serving make their way towards kindergarten prepared for the life that they have in front of them. So when we talk about this work, we actually get this work. And I know that's something that's a little bit different sometimes. We'll have a statewide organization that works on behalf of the early learning industry, or you will have an organization that is an early learning provider. We are both. So we're able to take the things that we learn from our own daily learning centers. We're able to try things in there and then refine them and then share them out with others. And a couple of the things that we're going to be talking about here, we've done just that process. So we've had the opportunity to learn from implementation within our programs, and now we're able to bring those out to partners based off of the learnings that we've had. Also means when you talk about things like, hey, we had to have a school closure, or this room got hand, foot, and mouth, or we have educators that we've hired, but they're not working out. There is not a single issue that you might have in your early learning program that we are not experiencing in some way as well. We have those 11 schools, and that's a lot of children, that's a lot of educators, and we're working through those concerns very frequently. So we can commiserate together on some of the opportunities and the difficulties there. So as I said, we're going to talk today about 3 opportunities. So this is high level, the 3 opportunities I want to talk with you guys about. These are all opportunities around improving classroom practices. So these are opportunities that your site may be eligible to participate in that could help your educators focus in on some of these specifics that you might want to do. So from left to right, they are a little bit less intensive to more intensive in the time commitment and the work that you're doing. So we're going to start with the lightest touch possibility and work through to the one that is the bigger commitment for your site. Benefit to any of these 3 that you may choose. So the first one would be focused on adult-child interactions, and that you would have for your improving classroom practices. That is an interaction series. It's a virtual series, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it in just a second. That's going on for the next few weeks. The second opportunity is focused on improving early language and literacy skills specifically. So really focused in on that skill area and a professional development opportunity for your educators to use directly with their children in their classrooms. That's about a 6 to 10 week commitment. And I say 6 to 10 weeks, and we'll get into the details about it because that does include some of the preparation time that goes into that as well. And we are taking new programs into that as early as January next year, which really feels like tomorrow at this point. And then the last opportunity that I'm going to share is if you might want to focus on improving classroom practices through looking at your new to classroom competency. Educators who are newer to your program or educators who maybe came in with the right attitude but not necessarily all the skills you want. It is an onboarding program that helps them become more competent and confident in their role within a classroom. And we have an opportunity for that one. It's about a 16-week commitment, and those will be starting as early as next February. So all opportunities that you guys could take advantage of if it's the right fit for your program. And I'm really going to stress throughout as we talk about this, if it's the right fit for your program. These are all things that your programs are very, very likely eligible for. And we'll go through some of the specific eligibility here in a few minutes. But a big part of the eligibility is you have to want to do it. Especially for these ones that are the 6 to 10 week or the 16-week commitment, because it does take effort and time to do the things that you're looking to do within there. So let's start off with the first one. That's about the adult-child interactions and what you can do with this. And as we go through, Marie and Anita, if you want to share the links in the chat, we could also share them at the end. There are specific web pages we can take you to for each of these 3 opportunities that lets you dive into all of the dates, the times, additional questions, FAQs that you might want for all of them. But the first one here is a professional development series that we're doing right now in partnership with Teachstone. We are doing 45-minute virtual interactive sessions that Teachstone is leading with target audiences for infant teachers, toddler teachers, preschool and pre-K teachers, as well as coaches or lead teachers. So there is a session every Tuesday focused on infants, people who work with infants, a session every Wednesday focused on people who work with toddlers. And when you sign up for this series, you get access to any of those sessions. So for example, you could have your preschool teachers look at that and say, okay, on Thursdays are the preschool content. Every Thursday for the next 3 weeks from 12:45 to 1:30, they're going to log on and attend this session. They do get credit as long as they participate in 75% of the sessions. So they do get a certificate that shows that they did it, which you can use towards some of your professional development hours as long as it applies towards them, as well as just being able to have the information from that session. It's really geared towards what are some of the interactions you're having? How do you take them to the next level? And we get feedback from a lot of providers that they're able to use these immediately within their classrooms. The ones that are geared towards the coaches and lead teachers, you could have somebody that is a preschool teacher, but is also an assistant who helps you manage across your team. And they might say, I want to take the preschool ones and the coaching ones because I help mentor other teachers. So you can really see which ones make sense for you to take. We have some people who have multiple age levels, and so they're taking multiple sessions. It just depends on what you're able to do. These are completely free, all virtual learning. And once you're registered, you choose the sessions you want to take. So you can register for it and literally just take the one session on one day that you have available for. You can register for it and take as many of the sessions as you want. There's no limit to the number of sessions that you take. But again, people only get credit for the ones that they participate within. So that is going on right now. It's open up to all educators who are serving children in some way in Indiana. So any of your teachers, assistant teachers, anybody in your program whatsoever that you think might benefit from taking that, you could have them sign up and participate. We've done interactive sessions like these before, just as a way to kind of boost one, interactions, it's where we're focusing on, but also to offer free, high quality professional development for programs across the state when there's sometimes a gap in some of the offerings that are there. So we wanted to offer this right now as a lot of programs are adjusting to concerns with operations or who they're serving, just to ensure that they still have access to some of this professional development for their team members. All right, I'm going to jump into the two that are a little bit more complicated now because this one, I'll be fair, is a great series. It's also one that we just flat out bought from Teachstone and they're putting on for us completely. So this one, like I said, is the more minimal commitment. It's just if you have somebody that you want some professional development the next few weeks, tomorrow starts week 2 of the 4 weeks and you guys could have people attend. The other two programs that I'm going to share with you guys today are both part of our Educator Solutions line. So these are work-based professional learning programs that Early Learning Indiana has developed in partnership with others across the state for early education leaders, teachers, and classroom support professionals, what we view as kind of the assistant role within a classroom. So this Educator Solutions is comprised of a lot of different programs that are all with the same goal of improving classroom practices and classroom instruction for early learners by focusing on the professional learning for the adults in the classroom or within the program. There's a couple up on the screen. You'll see that there are multiple other ones with this. I think it's important to understand that we rolled this out intentionally, looking at all of the different adults that contribute to what happens within the classroom. You need strong leadership at your site in order for there to be strong classroom practices. You need a really competent, qualified teacher in order for there to be strong classroom practices. And you need assistants or classroom support professionals in the classroom who understand how to support that role of the educational value within the classroom. Not only safety, but also how they're contributing to a child's education while they're in there. And so we really view across all of those, and that's why there's a multitude of programs. The two that I'm going to go over today are the two that are on the top, the Classroom Ready program and Boosting Early Language and Literacy in partnership with Lena Grow. The reason I'm focusing on those two is we have open recruitment for them right now. So you actually could have your program, your sites go through one or both of those programs if it's a good fit for you. We're not currently looking for individuals across the others, but they are there if you want to take a look at what they are on the webpage later or as we recruit for them and have other opportunities, we'll also share that out. Speaking of that recruitment, I do think it's important now to do the eligibility. I said you are likely going to be eligible for this just based off of the organizations you're associated with and the work you do. However, if you are not eligible for something, you might not be eligible for it. So I want to specify as we're talking about Classroom Ready and our Boosting Early Language and Literacy programs, there's a couple of things. You have to be a nonprofit. Easy one there when we look at Lutheran churches and Lutheran schools and the connection, but it is important, especially if you share this with others, for these two programs, you have to be a nonprofit. You have to have some sort of commitment to serving families that qualify for childcare subsidies, and that could be through CCDF, that could be through On My Way Pre-K, it could be through the way that your school focuses on working with families. We just want to ensure that you understand that we're looking for educational partners who do want to see all children have access to high quality. And then you have to literally be serving children. And sometimes this is the one where people get hung up. They're like, I'm going to be serving children. That's great. But all of these programs have to happen in classrooms that do have children in them. These are not programs that is an educator leaving and going somewhere. This is an educator getting training and professional development that they are then using in their classroom as part of this program. So you have to have children in order to do it. And you need to be at a licensed, registered, or regulated site in Indiana. We do clarify the in Indiana because sometimes churches and partners have sites that are in Ohio and Indiana. We can only focus these programs on the Indiana located sites, regardless of where your main office is, where the sites are located. The big caveat then at the bottom there is you have to actually want to do the program we're doing. And that seems like a very obvious one, again, but we always state that because we have lots of opportunities. And I noted that these are opportunities that are open right now. We do a lot with educators across the state. So I really want to encourage you guys as well just to take a look at some of our offerings so we continue or to stay in touch with it because we are consistently putting out new opportunities that build upon classroom practices for young children through partners across the state. And so if this is not the right fit for your program right now, there might be something that we have upcoming that would be a better fit. And that would be great. And you could do that. So as long
Nat-
as you, yes.
Natalie, since we're talking eligibility, there's one question. If you can talk more about what it means to be a regulated site.
Aha. So what it means to be a regulated site is you are either licensed or exempt or registered. So if you guys operate like as a registered ministry, it means your site has to, in some way, the state of Indiana is signing off on your state operating preschool. You can be a non-regulated does not mean illegal. So just to clarify, there are reasons that state that programs might not be regulated. If, for example, you do a half-day program a few days a week, you don't have to be regulated. In the state of Indiana, you can choose to be regulated to access certain funding streams, but you don't have to. If you're not sure if you're regulated, if you let us know the site, we can look it up for you. But if you know you have a registration, a registered ministry, like that's what you do is you have a registered ministry number, or if you're a licensed center within the state, or you know you have an exempt number. If you accept CCDF or On My Way Pre-K, you're regulated. There's paperwork the state has to do with that. So good question. And part of that is just because we have to track where things are going. And one of the easiest ways to track is through those regulated numbers. Okay, so I'm going to go into details about the Boosting Early Language and Literacy opportunity. This one, you'll recall, it takes about 6 to 10 weeks to implement it. There's an opportunity to start this as early as January. There will be rolling starts for this over the course of next year. We have some partners who participated in this program in 2025 who are repeating it now. And so we are looking for new partners as well to start in 2026. This is a really great fit if you are a site that knows you want to focus on early language and literacy. So that's something you've either identified already as an opportunity within your site or as something you want to just bolster a little bit more. This is also really ideal for a site that wants to focus on improving some of your educator practices, because even though this is geared towards early language and literacy, as we talk through it here in a moment, the process by which you focus on early language and literacy is all about coaching and feedback. So if you want to focus on coaching and feedback as a skill that you're trying to improve within your program, and you think literacy is good, you could do this to focus on that coaching and feedback loop and establishing some of that, and it would benefit your language and literacy. So we've actually had programs that are more focused on the language and literacy side and some that are more focused on the coaching feedback loop side. And either way, you're getting benefits in both. So think about what you might want to invest in within your program that could be a fit here. Probably not something that you guys need to be told, but important to understand. Early language development is incredibly important, really related to the quality of children's early language and communication environment, being a predictor of their later developmental outcomes. So through this program, we are helping to ensure that we are creating engaging early talk environments that maximize children's natural tendencies towards language acquisition. I will say a lot of programs think that they have really language and communication rich environments. And then by going through this program with us, realize that there are gaps in their environment that they did not know of. So this is a really great way to start looking at the environments that you have and understanding the idea of the environment you have, does it actually match the reality of the environment that you have, using concrete data for those educators and classrooms. What we're looking at within here are really some of those responsive serve and return interactions that happen between the adults and the children that are one of the key ingredients to that school readiness because they contribute directly to that language and literacy development. So we're starting from a point of understanding the importance of early language development and what factors improve early language development. And that's where this opportunity to participate really focuses in on those specific outcomes we're trying to grow. So this program is in partnership with Lena Grow. Lena Grow is an innovative research-based professional development program for early childhood educators. Key component of Lena Grow is a small wearable device. It's often called a talk pedometer that is combined with cloud-based software that's used to deliver detailed feedback. It helps the adults in the classroom make proven sustainable increases in their interactive talk with children. So in that picture right there, you see our young learner is wearing this blue kind of vest thing. And a lot of the photos, actually all the photos that you're going to see here as we talk about this specific opportunity, they're wearing those vests. And you see that little square right there? That's the talk pedometer. Once the children put it on, they don't notice that it's on any more than they do notice their shirt or a vest or any other component that they might be wearing. It's really non-invasive once you have them put it on, and it becomes a way when you're using it that you put on. It is that technology there is able to help track the different interactions that they're having. And we'll get into that a little bit here in a moment. But the program itself is designed to help increase those interactions with children within the classrooms without disrupting the existing classroom routines. So Lena Grow is not an educational curriculum for the children. This is not a literacy curriculum that's coming in. It's really about the professional development using the data to guide when and how adults talk with children to create those feedback loops. So I know we've said conversational turns a couple times just to make sure everybody's on the same page with that. Those are the back and forth between a child and adult. They're the proxy that they use for that kind of serve and return interaction. Adult utterances, children utterances, adult utterances, children utterances. And I do say utterances because it is not looking at the content of the conversation. You can use Lena Grow all the way down through infants. It's looking at, is there that kind of conversational turn that happens regardless of the actual words that are said. So Lena's technology is unique that it counts those across the entirety of the day, and you're able to use that data to make decisions then about where you want to invest some of your time differently as you think about the conversations that adults and children are having. So how this actually works then is there is a Lena Day. One day during a 5-week sequence. So Lena Grow, we said it takes 6 to 10 weeks to implement because there's a little bit of training beforehand, but there's 5 actual weeks that you do the Lena program. You'll have a Lena Day. One day during the week, the children will wear the Lena devices all day so that the devices can capture the interactive talk between the adults and the children in the classroom. Data from that day is then uploaded. It's turned into a report that's shared during the coaching session that enables the teachers, the educators to reflect on their practice in the classrooms. During those coaching sessions, then, the educators and their coach review the data from their own data in their own room. So it's not somebody else's data, it's this was the talk in my room during my Lena Day, and ask questions about it, learn more about their experience, and they will actually then make some goals around what they want to improve. For example, it's going to give them the data to say, here are children in your classroom that are experiencing less than the average we want them to experience. So your goal could be to just literally talk with those children more. They might see in the data that they think that when children are entering the classroom, there's a lot of back and forth talk going on, but then they realize there's actually not. So they might come up with strategies to say, how could we engage more and talk during this part of the day? Obviously, there are times where there might be like rest time, or there are times when, a child was late, so there's no data for them for the first 2 hours. Those are the kind of things that we don't say you need to wake children up from nap to talk to them. No. But you do look at where there are opportunities during the day that make sense. We've had individuals realize that they have a handful of children who are incredibly well behaved. They don't talk with a lot because the interactions with the children, they're talking to them and the children are doing things, but they're not necessarily having conversations with them that are eliciting responses back. And we've had educators realize that for certain children in their classroom, they didn't know that there were gaps in their language interactions, and they're changing the words they're using to be more open-ended so they talk more directly back and forth. So they get an opportunity to practice. So now you get times to practice, try to use that before your next Lena Day to show that improvement and to create those opportunities to continue building your skills. So it's really focused on how the adults in the classroom approach their interactions and conversations based off of the data from their room. Few important caveats on the devices because people hear the word recording or devices and they're like, nope, not going to do this in my classroom. My parents would never agree to this. I would never agree to this. It doesn't actually record audio. It can't play back audio. It's only designed for processing. So the software does not recognize specific words and their meanings. It counts them. So if you think about it, it's like if you were sitting next to a family at a table and they are speaking in a language you don't understand. You don't know what they're saying, but you could count this person talked, this person talked, this person talked. That's what the software does. It counts the different utterances based off of the individuals and their proximity to the devices to be able to say these were the child's utterances, this was an adult utterance, and that's all it does. The audio is automatically and permanently deleted after processing. This is not a recording in that sense. So the technology really only does what we need the technology to do in order to be able to look at processing and doing that. So if this is something that you're interested in, here's what participation would look like. Programs who sign up for this are committing to a minimum of 1 5-week Lena sequence in 2 or more classrooms. We really stress the 2 or more classrooms because if you're going to have somebody go through the training to become a Lena coach, we want them to have the ability to do 2 classrooms with it. So we're looking for a program that has at least 2 classrooms. That's why we were looking at the multiple classroom programs and wants to do Lena in at least 2 of them. You do not have to do it in all of your classrooms. So if you have 4 classrooms right now and you want to focus in on starting with 2, that's absolutely fine. What we're seeing now that we've done a couple of rounds of this, a couple of cohorts, is some programs that did like, we're just going to focus on our infant toddlers right now. And once they've done it now, they're focusing on the preschool pre-K. Our individual, her name is Charity, who does our Lena program, our Boosting Early Language and Literacy program, would talk with you about what implementation makes sense for your site and then help you work through that. You would have to designate a coach to support Lena site implementation. This does not need to be a new role. Remember, this is a 6 to 10 week program that you're committing to doing. So it could be you. It could be a lead teacher. It could be a coach. It could be somebody across your district. It could be somebody, we've had all kinds of roles within their organization who have added Lena Coach to some of the work that they're doing right now. It does need to be somebody who feels comfortable or is building on their competency to offer feedback. I will say it's pretty black and white. It's here's what the data is showing. Now let's look at this data. Where do you want to focus? What do you want to understand? So they receive some training on how to ask questions about the data in order for people to make goals about what they're doing. We found that this is really beneficial for programs who maybe have an individual that you've wanted to give a stretch opportunity to, and you think they could give good feedback in this structured format. So if you have a lead teacher that really is doing a little bit in their classroom and some beyond, this is a great way for them to start giving some of that feedback. They're not going and observing the classroom. They're getting the data from that classroom, and then they're having that coaching session to reflect on what's going on and to make goals for them to implement to improve whatever their goal is. So it's very structured in a way for somebody who's never given coaching or mentoring feedback to do as a first time coaching in a supportive way. And I say this as in my previous role before Early Learning Indiana, I was a youth and family director at a YMCA and did oversee a preschool program. So I had an individual who was my pre-K teacher, also was able to use her expertise to help build up the skills of others within our program. It's that kind of a teacher and educator that you'd want to have as your Lena Grow coach. All programs that participate in this are also doing data collection using educator surveys before and after they implement it. So the rooms that you're going to have do Lena, their educators in that classroom do a survey before and after. Remembering it's a professional development series for that educator. So we want to know how they felt at the beginning. We want to know what's changed for them at the end. We are able to get the data about the children directly from the Lena devices. We need to use the surveys of the pre and post data with the educators to understand what they learned in the experience there. I am going to pause before I go on to the Classroom Ready program. And as I pause before I go on to that, I just want to see if anybody has questions or anybody has anything right now about this program specifically, the Boosting Early Language and Literacy. Okay. I did not ask before because I kind of jumped in because I knew we'd have a lot to talk about. Is there anybody on currently who has done Lena, either with Early Learning Indiana or somebody else?
Yes, I have.
Awesome. Are you doing it with us or with somebody else?
I did it through Building Blocks in Southern Indiana.
Awesome. Okay.
And we only had one 3-year-old classroom, so it was pretty quick. But we did just complete it a couple of weeks ago, I think. But it was a great learning experience, great professional development, really opened our eyes. And everything was easy peasy. They mail it to you in a box and you use it. You do have to have a Windows right now. They say in the future they will have a Mac compliant system, but right now that was our only hiccup. Our coach had to come over and pick up the devices and take them because we only run on Macs. But other than that, everything went really smooth, and then you mailed it back at the end, and my kids thought they were little superheroes doing an experiment for us.
So which they do. I mean, we've had so many programs, make it interactive. They put on the vest. Have the parents help put on the vest before they go. I think it makes everybody feel more comfortable with them, and they really do forget that they're on there once their day gets going. It's not something that really interacts with them very much differently. I will say, if you have already done a series of Lena in your classrooms, you're still able to do this one. So we've had some people that are like, oh, through an early years initiative project or through this organization, we've done some of our classrooms. Okay, what about the rest of your classrooms? Or when did you do it? Was it a year ago? Does it make sense for you to do another session? So I definitely suggest, if you're interested and not sure, reach out. We are going to share the webpage, which will have the actual interest form to fill out. I will tell you, for both of these opportunities, this one and Classroom Ready program that we're about to talk about, the interest form asks a lot of questions. It does not ask a question we don't need the answer to, because we need to know, how many educators do you have? What's your enrollment? So we can help plan with you. However, you can also just reach out and say, hey, I'm really unsure. Can I talk to somebody more in depth? And we'll set you up with, like I said, Charity, who's the individual who runs this program for us. And she can just do a quick call and consultation, walk through your concerns. She is also really great about saying, you know what, you need to do half your classrooms, or you're telling me that there's this concern. I think you need to focus there. Like, she will talk through it with you, and she's been working with programs all across the state this past year implementing this. So again, if you've got an issue, voice it, because she's likely already has somebody who's dealt with that issue. She can help you troubleshoot. We've had technology concerns. We've had internet access concerns. We've had concerns with parents and permission and helping families understand what this is and what this isn't. We've had multi-language concerns, concerns with educators' ability to use technology. We've dealt with all of these, both with our partners across the state and I will say in our own schools. This is something that we use starting with our early Head Start classrooms, and then we've scaled it out to our other rooms. So there is likely not an issue you might have in implementation with an educator, a child, the technology that we haven't dealt with in some way. We've had all of our stuff plugged in and uploading, and then the power went out when we were almost done uploading at one of our schools, and then we had to plug it all in and do it again. I don't recommend that one. But we also had to realize we had a site that had ongoing construction, and we actually had to stop trying to do uploads there because the power kept going out. We're like, this is just solution is they're going to finish construction. Uploads are going to happen at a secondary site. So she's lived through all of it and will offer support the entirety of the way throughout this. Okay. Any other questions about the literacy opportunity, the literacy and language opportunity here? Okay. I'm going to dive into this last opportunity then around our Classroom Ready program. And the Classroom Ready program, if you'll recall, is a little bit more in depth of a commitment. I also think because it is a little bit more of an in-depth commitment, though, the outcomes that you get really are reflective of the effort that's put in. So Classroom Ready program takes around 16 weeks to implement. It is a 13-week program, but again, there's some training at the beginning. And we will have an opportunity for new partners to begin this as early as February. We actually have some partners that are in some of the prep stages right now for January, but then in February will be the next round of prep for partners to start. The preparation will start in February for the program to actually start in March. So let's talk a little bit about what the Classroom Ready program is. We really look at the Classroom Ready program as a solution to many problems that we face when it comes to early childhood education. We know that we need to improve the quality of education within classrooms, a lot of classrooms across the state. We know that we have individuals who are coming into the classroom unprepared for the role that they're coming into, and we need to help them become more competent and qualified quicker. For a couple of reasons. One, because we want the children in those classrooms to have the best opportunity for their educational outcomes. Two, we also don't want to stress out and lose some of our best educators because they were not onboarded in a way that's really responsible for the education that they have. So when we created the Classroom Ready program, we viewed it as a focus in on those who are really new to the classroom, who want to be there, but maybe don't have all the skills to be within the classroom. In my experience, both with programs across the state, but also then previously when I was in programs, is a lot of times we tended to hire based off of some of the qualifications that we need, but really somebody who we felt could adapt to our way of work and learn from the other educators around them, especially for those roles that maybe don't require a degree. This is the starting point in their educational journey as a classroom educator. And what we find then is that the day-to-day of the work sometimes gets in the way of them actually learning the skills that we want them to learn. So the Classroom Ready program is set up to ensure that their first few months that they are in the classroom, they're learning and applying what they need to be competent and confident in their work, and that they are then deciding how they want to progress in their own educational career based off of their start in their classrooms with us. I'm going to click to the next slide, which is going to have, it has about a 3.5 minute video that really explains the entirety of the Classroom Ready program. So I'm going to just click through and play. If there's an issue with sound, somebody please unmute and be like, Natalie, there's no sound. And then I won't fix it. I'll just go on.
If the foundation for future learning starts in
Did it pause? It paused. Why did it pause?
in the early years,
There it goes.
it's really important that we get these years right. Research is clear that the most important factor in a child's education is their educator. So to have the greatest impact, we have to have competent educators in the classroom who are able to connect with children and to understand their growth and development and help them on that learning trajectory so that they're always learning and ready for the next place. So the CSP, or the classroom support professional, is that individual that really helps support a teacher bring their vision for learning to life in the classroom. They have a very important role to play when it comes to facilitating learning, ensuring that the environment is ready for children at all stages throughout the day, and engaging with children in those observations so that the teacher has more eyes and ears throughout the classroom to understand all of the learning that is happening. That's why Early Learning Indiana created Educator Solutions with innovative programs for teachers and classroom support professionals. The Classroom Support Professional program really is a robust onboarding that lasts about 90 days, that happens asynchronously on a pacing schedule, that has a paired piece with it in an actual physical classroom. What sets this program apart really is the Explore, Practice, Apply approach. So the three-part instructional format gives the learner the opportunity first to sort of uncover learning on their own through the activities, some of the short videos, what will be the topics for the week. And then the second phase is practice. And this is where you get the opportunity to take what you learned in the explore phase, but put it into action. It gives you an opportunity to sort of test some of your ideas and see if you're on track based on what's developmentally appropriate or what will keep a child healthy and safe. As you're working alongside, shoulder to shoulder with that cooperative teacher, they're really the living example that mentors along the classroom support professionals as they are in the program. And then finally, Apply is really showing that you can do it on your own. So you submit an assignment through the Apply module that usually captures a video and has some reflection questions based on what the topics were during the module. The goal of this program really was to help classroom support professionals get all that they need to know to be effective in the classroom as fast as possible. It doesn't happen in a week, right? Learning happens over time, but we need it to happen fast because children are growing every moment that they're with us. One of the key factors is that the individual going through the program has the opportunity to work the entire time that they're participating in the program. And so you don't have to take time away from work because it's a part of your work. It's truly job embedded. The classroom support professional program has deep impact on someone's professional journey. It not only helps them today to feel satisfaction in their work, but it also helps them understand and begin the process of what's next for them. How do they want to continue in this early education career? Do they want to move on and get additional credentials, even maybe enroll in a university program? But it all starts here. Program leaders should consider how this program might impact their programs and really help with the development of their team members in the early days of their employment journey. An investment in this innovative program is an investment in your staff and in your school and in the lives of the children that you serve.
So I want to say, with the Classroom Ready program, I think it's really important to note that it does not replace onboarding that you would do within your school to your specific program. It really supplements it. So with the Classroom Ready program, we are looking at those educators who are new to the classroom. I'm going to say new to the classroom with like an asterisk there, because we have had several of our partners who have started with individuals who are new to the classroom, like within the last 2 to 5 years. It doesn't have to be new to the classroom like it's somebody you just hired and they just started. It just means that it's somebody who maybe didn't get all of the education that they needed prior to being in that room. And the reality of it is that's a lot of our team members who come to us with some of what they need, but not necessarily all of what they need. And so we have individuals who are going through the Classroom Ready program as a kind of reset or cultural reset for their organization to say, this is what we expect, and you're going to go through this program and help others also pick it up across our organization. So new to the classroom is really a broad definition for them to be able to look at this and focus. We are wanting it to be something that they can achieve. They actually get a certificate for this. When they complete it at the end, there is a test at the end that looks comprehensively across the entire thing. It can be used towards the beginning of a CDA at a couple of different programs across the state. So we've had individuals who have started this and realized that they want to go on for the next step within their education. We also have individuals who complete this and are just incredibly strong assistants within the classrooms that they're in. We've had individuals who complete this and after completion realize that they actually might be interested in being a lead teacher. So it helps them to understand how to be competent in the role they're in their classroom, but also gives them kind of a springboard for the next thing. Big things that they talked about within there are the fact that it is, in fact, job embedded. So the classroom ready program itself is something that it is somebody who has to be working within there. This is not the week before you start working, you have to do certain iLead trainings or fingerprinting or sit through orientation so you know how to complete your time card. I don't care how your team members complete their time cards. You do. So you do that with them. This part is about truly their practices within the classroom. And it's built off of that kind of mentorship by that cooperative teacher. So a little bit more here about how this program actually works. They talked about that explore, practice, apply framework. So what this is they're going through these scaffolded experiences to explore those concepts, engage in that structured skill building, and then apply their knowledge in that classroom setting. So again, it's really functioning as you are in this classroom doing the work. The way that I view it a little bit is, like I said, in my previous role, I might have somebody come in and I would do a quick assessment of them and be like, oh, okay, based off of your previous experience, you know how to do X, Y, and Z, but you're really never done A, B, or C before. Great. We will have you start this and then we'll take a look at this. The problem with that is I didn't always know for sure if they said they could do X, Y, and Z that they actually could. And sometimes we would have them try it and realize, oh, you say you know how to do X and you do not. Or I would remember when I was onboarding them that they needed to know how to do X, Y, Z, and A and B, and I would forget about C. So this takes some of the guesswork of forgetting about core concepts that are important to them within the classroom. So here's what they do. During that 16-week period, they have 13 weeks of programming. So there's a couple of catch-up weeks built in, knowing that life happens, or holidays happen, or snow days happen, and you might have to reschedule. There's 13 weeks of content. In those 13 weeks, they have 60 hours of asynchronous instruction through the actual platform in the program. And you could see that over the shoulders of some of the participants where they were doing interactive activities that walk them through. It's incredibly interactive. It's a lot of drag and move. It's a lot of matching things. It's watching videos and responding to them. And we actually have characters throughout the program that are a teacher or an assistant that they go through the process with them. So it's meant to be very interactive learning during those 60 hours of instruction online. That is paired with 90 hours facilitated in the classroom. So they are paired with a cooperative teacher who they will work within their classroom. Notice I do not say shadow or observe. They will actually be paired with that cooperative teacher the entirety of the time. We take on training of the cooperative teacher so that they understand how to offer feedback as well as they understand what the participants are learning and how to focus on those skills week to week to help build their skills. So they may spend 4 days of a week within their classroom that is their everyday classroom and 1 day a week with their cooperative teacher in that cooperative teacher's classroom all day as their assistant, ensuring that they're able to get that facilitated learning within the classroom that also matches their online learning. I'm not going to go through the entirety of the actual platform, but on the webpage that we'll share with you, there's a video that has just some music and it walks through a bunch of the different activities in the platform to kind of let you see what it is. But I will just stress that it is incredibly interactive. So we're looking both at, do you understand the content in this interactive platform? And then what does it look like when you actually do this within the classroom? I want to talk very briefly here on some of the impact or the outcomes that we've seen from this program and as we talk about the benefits to it. So this slide is a little bit old and I did not update it yet because we're just in the midst of gathering our end of year numbers. But there's so the credentials, the ones who actually completed the program is about to jump up based off of the timing of us finishing a cohort. But we're currently working with around 19 sites across the state who are implementing this. So we're implementing this, I will say, within our own 11 schools, as well as at these other partner sites, and have participants and cooperative teachers that are going through here. One of the things that I'll say really to focus in on is that cooperative teacher role. So you would identify somebody who has really excellent classroom practices at your site to be the cooperative teacher. And that individual would actually help to mentor the individual who's going through the program. Cooperative teachers can have, we recommend up to 2 individuals going through the program at a time. So you might start with one of your really exemplary teachers who would do the role as cooperative teacher. You might have their actual assistant within their classroom go through the program, as well as one other from another classroom. And again, they would switch places, and you would have to help facilitate that coverage. That is part of the school leader's role, is to helping ensure that the facilitation of the coverage happens for the time in the classroom with the cooperative teacher, as well as ensuring that there is time for the training outside of the classroom for them to do their online, their asynchronous portion that they'd be doing. What we found is for the cooperative teachers, it's a really great way to invest in an educator who has amazing classroom skills and you want them to still be in their classroom. So it's somebody that you want to be mentoring and coaching others, but you don't necessarily want to pull them out of their classroom and not have them still as a teacher. So it's an opportunity for them to, for you to help them invest in their own skills with others without having to pull them out of the classroom. Another thing that I would say, we look at the participants, and obviously the participants and the credentials are not the same number. One, there were a lot of participants who just hadn't gotten to the point of finishing yet when we did these numbers last. But 2, we've also found that Classroom Ready program helps us identify early on if somebody is not the best fit for a classroom environment. If you've been an educator for longer than a year, you have probably seen somebody in a classroom and you're asking yourself, why are they in that classroom, or why are they still in that classroom after you see their performance? Because they're not doing anything terrible, but they're also not good. And so having this requirement during these, 16 weeks that they're doing for them to actually show competency in the skills that we want them to have within the classroom around safety and behavior management and around understanding developmentally appropriate practice and helping to support teachers in their educational vision for the classroom, you find out if they can't do that. And we've had individuals realize that this is not the career pathway they want to look at. And we've had programs realize you're not well suited for this work sooner than they would have if they didn't try to actually look at their competency at this point in time. So I think it's an important thing to realize too, is that this is really an onboarding type program that helps them look at the skills that are necessary to be successful in a classroom at the start of your educational journey as an educator and identify if that's the right pathway you want to go on. I'm going to skip my next video too, because I went back and forth about including it and I want to make sure we have time for questions, but there is another video that if you want to look at that is on the webpage about this opportunity that looks at the voices of educators who have been through the program and what they got out of it. And I think it's really important to consider both the participants and the cooperative teacher, because the way that this program works is it's an investment in both of those individuals. So as a cooperative teacher, we're giving them the opportunity to share their own ability to manage educational processes and classroom practices with others in a framework and a foundation. So these 13 weeks of the curriculum are already set. They're already there and they build on each other for the skills that you want to see that the teachers, that you want to see educators exhibit. The cooperative teacher knows what's coming. We send them something that says, hey, this next week, here's what your participant's going to be learning online, and here's what you need to see them do in your classroom. Here's how you can get feedback on that. So it really helps the cooperative teacher understand where to focus in and give some of that feedback. It also helps the participant understand what we're looking for and gives them an opportunity with a cooperative teacher to say, hey, this didn't work. Like, I get that when A happens, we're supposed to do B, C, or D, but in this classroom, I don't know what happened and I had no other ideas. And for them to say, yeah, we want to do B, C, and D, but sometimes we have to do F because of this reason or this reason. So keep your goal here, adapt here. So it really gives an opportunity for your cooperative teachers to be able to share the expertise they've learned in their classrooms, either with you or with others. It is also, I will say again, this is an onboarding and a professional development opportunity. It is not a curriculum. We are not saying that this is the educational value that these educators have to do. That's for you guys to set and for you guys to do. It does not replace any of your philosophy of learning. It supplements it with saying, here's the way that you can put that philosophy into practice, and we can ensure that you are doing it, again, with some black and white data. You struggled with this competency, you didn't struggle with this one. What do we need to do to make sure you can do all of these competencies within the classroom so you can be a strong educator? A couple of other quick things to note with this one is that we facilitate the program completely. So we have an individual, her name is Olivia. She facilitates the cohort. She makes sure the school leaders are prepared, the directors are prepared for what needs to happen, and keeps in touch with them. She trains and makes sure all the cooperative teachers, your teachers on site who are helping to facilitate with their peers, understand what's going on. And she monitors the participation of all of the individuals who are actually going through the program and keeps everybody up to date on who's doing what and how well it's working, and helps troubleshoot any implementation. This program, same as our other one, is completely free for your team members to participate in. You have to be able, though, to help us facilitate it. Do your role while we do our role. We do also offer, as an acknowledgement of the fact that they are taking on, in addition to their role, Early Learning Indiana gives a $250 stipend to cooperative teachers for the completion of the program by any participants. So if you have a cooperative teacher who's investing their time while they're working for you, while you're doing this program, to helping facilitate that role, they will get that stipend directly from us as an acknowledgement of the work that they are doing above and beyond their own classroom practice. That does not come from you guys, that comes from us. This program is another one I would say that's a little bit complex in the way that you do it. I understand I went through it a little bit quickly here because it's a program that we could talk about forever and be able to do, but I wanted to introduce it. It is something that I would say if you're interested in having an individual conversation, I'm going to go back and actually say about either of the last two programs. If you're interested in the virtual online series, go sign up for it. That one doesn't need another conversation. You could just do it. But the other two, if you're interested, or if you're like, they both sound interesting, I'm not sure which is the best fit. Or I think I want to do this one, but do I really want to do this one? Let's talk. Let's set up some time to just talk with you about your program. How many educators do you have? What are you trying to do? How are you trying to do it? What works, what doesn't work? And we actually will help you create an implementation plan for either or both of these that might make sense for you. I saw the question that came in, the cooperative teachers need to be in the same classroom for all 90 hours. The cooperative teacher stays in their own classroom. The participants rotate into the cooperative teacher. So if I am the cooperative teacher and I am pre-K teacher in this classroom, I stay here. If Maria Need and Joanne are my two participants, and Maria Need is normally with me and Joanne is not, Maria Need's with me 4 days a week, Joanne's with me that 5th day while we go through this process. So cooperative teachers are in their own classroom with their own students because they're then still leading and keeping that consistency for the students. They know their students. They keep it all rolling. It's also why they have to be a really exemplary teacher, because they have to be able to handle and guide the disruption of a new person coming in 1 day a week over the course of those 13 weeks. It's enough time that it's not like you get a new assistant every day, but it does mean that they have to help navigate a new person coming in who is learning there. I know we only have a couple minutes, so I just want to open it up to any other questions that people might have about either of these opportunities. I'm going to change it to my contact there and leave it up. But I would just say, as you think about questions, we know that it is a really tough time in Indiana to be operating an early learning program in general. And it's also just really tough to be doing early learning as a whole. These are opportunities that you're eligible for you to invest in the educators that work in your programs. If they're a good fit, it's going to take some effort, but the outcomes that you get from these programs really are incredible when it comes to the professional development for the educators and when it comes to the outcomes for the children. So if you are wanting next year to focus on language and literacy in some way, to focus on coaching and feedback in some way, if we can be a part of that, let us. These exist. They're free for you guys to use. Let us come in and supplement the work that you're doing in these focused ways. Any questions immediately kind of coming to mind, or anybody? I would say if you know for sure you want to talk about one of them, email me. The email's up there. Nathan also has it. We can set up some time for you to talk with the individual, but any questions top of mind right now?
I have a question.
Mhm.
I've always been told that if I have my assistants do professional development, because they are hourly, we are legally obliged to pay for those hours that they're doing the professional development. So if they have 60 hours of asynchronous learning, then I am responsible, if I'm correct, to pay them for those 60 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and I will say the 60 hours is an estimate. Some people go through faster than others. It averages out to about 4.5 or less hours per week across those 13 weeks. So it's
Okay.
not like they're taking a whole week off. It's, hey, during this week, part of it is, so there's there's the one full day that they're doing in a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
During the other 4 days, it's about an hour per day that they
Okay.
might need to do it. So we have individuals that'll do it during nap time or lunchtime, or you're normally scheduled to come in at 9. I'm going to schedule you to come in at 8, and you're going to do this work. We do have some individuals who do it at home. It still needs to be paid time.
Uh-huh.
So it is taking on the commitment to ensure that they get some of the out of classroom time for those hours. But it's balancing that out with the in classroom, in ratio time that they would have, which is also part of their learning.
Okay.
Natalie, there was one question here in the chat, and you might have talked a bit about that, but if you want to share a bit more about it, does the cooperative teacher needs to be in the same classroom for all 90 hours?
Um, Ideally, they would stay in their same classroom. I also know life happens, and you might have a cooperative teacher that is currently your pre-K teacher, and halfway through this cohort, they have to switch over and become your preschool teacher. We will work with you and figure it out, because that is the way of the world and understanding it. We also, you might have your cooperative teacher as a preschool teacher, but the person who is participating is a toddler teacher. That's okay. They can still do their hours in the preschool classroom, and that cooperative teacher talk with them about what that might look like in the application within their classroom that they're going to be in all the time. So again, this supplements some of the other work that you're doing. You still would need to have your own type of, onboarding for all the legal aspects or onboarding for a specific curriculum. Any of those things that they would need to do would still be done within their own classrooms. Okay. I know we threw a whole bunch at you guys in this hour. I hope, if nothing else, it gets you thinking about what you might want to focus on next year with your team members, and the understanding that there are programs like this out there that are an opportunity that you could bring to your site. I will just leave you guys with that to say, keep doing the work you're doing. And if there is a place where we could come alongside it to help invest in your educators and their classroom practices, we would love to have those conversations and get you guys started.
Thanks, Natalie. I really appreciate the time, and I will be sure to share out that recording, and I'll add your contact information on there in case anyone wants to reach out with specific questions.
All right, sounds good.
Natalie, before we wrap up, I'm throwing in a link. It's to register to receive our emails in the future to learn more about these opportunities and other ones. So if you're not in our newsletter yet, but you want to keep updated, there's a quick form that you can fill out and share with your teachers as well, so you can stay on the loop.
Excellent. Well, you guys have a great rest of your day, and Nathan, we will be in touch.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you very
That's good.
much.
Thanks, guys. Bye.